Yeah, from bell to bell. When the hand slaps the rope, everything changes. Yeah, my spotlight's up, hear the crowd breathe. History in the ring every time we speak. From the back room rumors to the main event talk. Every road to the top starts with one hot tag. Heartbeat bass with the mic in hand. Breaking down the game like a fight night stand. No scripts, no buys, just facts and fire. If the rope starts shaking, you know we wired. When the pace gets slow, when the match feels stuck, that's when the whole damn building waits on us. You mean we're hot tide? Feel the energy snap from the corner to the center when the whole world reacts. This is ring talk, real talk. Every champ, every scar. When the hand hits the rope, yeah, we like the dog. We're hot tide. Let the truth break loose. Every hit, every miss, every win, every bruise. From the past to the future, from the grind to the goal. This is the Hot Tag Podcast. Welcome to the show. Headlines, hot takes, moments they can't fake. Dynasties fall, new legends get made. From the indies to the lights where the cameras live. If it matters in the ring, then it matters in this. Numbers on the board, but the story comes first. Every rise got pain, every crown got dirt. We don't chase noise, we chase that spark. That one loud second when the match flips hard. Yeah. Woo. When the hand has the rope, yeah, we like the hot tub. Feel the energy snap from the corner to the center when the whole really reacts. This is ring talk, real talk. Every champ, every scar. When the hand hits the rope, yeah, we like the hot tide. Let the truth break loose. Every hit, every miss, every win, every bruise. From the past to the future, from the grind to the goal. This is the Hot Tag Podcast. Welcome to the show. Eat my hot tide.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hot Tag Podcast. I am Future, and I'm alongside my Hot Tag tag team partner, Pile Driver. Welcome in, sir.
Thank you very much. Glad to be on the team, my friend. We've been talking about doing this for a long time.
I was
finally making it happen.
Literally about to say that. We've been talking, 2 years now that we've been talking about doing this podcast?
Oh, yeah, at least. For sure.
And I'm so excited to go through and come back with a podcast because it's been 5-6 years now that I haven't done an actual wrestling podcast, and it's good to be back. And I'm excited to have my hot tag team partner. I might just say tag team partner on this one because you'll end up getting the hot.
Yeah, it's gonna get a little repetitive after a while. Just we'll get some tongue twisters and whatever. Yeah, I'm glad to be on the tag team, my friend, and we're about to show the wrestling podcast world that we're the tag team to beat when it comes to wrestling podcasts. I'm just throwing it out there right now, just laying out the gauntlet. Do it better than us, and I'll let you know you did. Otherwise, come for us. We're gonna be the ones to beat. Just sit back and watch.
Exactly. And I'm excited about some guests that we could have on the show down the road. But starting off tonight on the Hot Tag Podcast, Monday Night Raw results. Are you ready for them, sir?
Let's get into it, my friend.
So we started off Monday Night Raw with AJ Styles coming out talking about the Gunther situation and what could transpire at the Royal Rumble, and CM Punk interrupted him. It got a little heated, but with more of a respect type of heat with it. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna get in your face heat. It was more like, what are you trying to
for sure
say here?
There was definitely and I mean, as a fan watching it, I mean, you could tell these guys, they were glad to be in the ring together, and they were honestly kind of struggling a little bit to stay on track there with their promos because they were having a good time, and you could tell they were really enjoying being back there and being able to play off of each other again. So I definitely like the segment. Throwing down the gauntlet at the same time, kind of hey, if you've got it, if you're going to be beating Gunther at the Rumble, show me, I'm the best in the world. If you can prove to the best in the world that you're ready for Gunther, then you'll have proved it to yourself at the same time. So he just go ahead.
And not just that, he also said, you would be the number one contender for for the World Heavyweight Championship, you know. But that changed very quickly in that promo battle.
Yeah, just immediately, flip the script back on them, and hey, let's just end up let's do this thing tonight. Why wait? We're not doing this thing in Riyadh. This isn't going to end up on another, Saturday night's main event. But at the same time, the real reason, that they're pushing for doing this on Monday Night Raw is because that's not the plan for AJ. With him, all signs point to he will, in fact, probably be retiring at the Royal Rumble.
And that's the one thing that I think we're both like we're on the fence about. Like we're like we see why he would, we see why he would want to, but at the same time I don't think anybody's ready for that. And I think the fans ate up that entire segment with the whole, well, what if we did a match tonight, in the main event? And that crowd ate it up.
They did for sure, and I wanted them to lean into it quite a bit more. They didn't really get into the they mentioned that they had history, but they didn't get into what that history was, and it wasn't in WWE because for 10 years Punk was gone, and during that 10 years that's when AJ showed up.
Yeah.
So their history was from Ring of Honor and the independents. I think it would have just been a really good nod to that history, and without having to mention Ring of Honor, obviously under different ownership of a competitor company. They don't have the freedom to mention them as they do like a TNA. But hey, I would have liked them to say, "Isn't it great that a couple of indie guys are able to do this?" After all this time, give us some sort of nod to that. I think would have been good. But even so, for what it was, for those fans that are in the know from that history, it was still great to get, see them get in the ring one more time and, working together. And that's one of those matches where, they just went out there and just had fun, enjoyed the moment that they're getting to work together. And, that's a really cool thing.
It really is a really cool thing, and the fact that AJ Styles and Punk, you said the Indies, they worked in Ring of Honor, and I know they worked backstage, and they may have did a couple things in TNA. I'm not 100% sure.
That's true, and they could have even done a more direct nod there. You're absolutely right.
Yep.
They could have said, isn't it great that a couple of TNA originals or a couple of TNA OGs, if they didn't want to, call Punk original just over, I think, a couple of months difference before he came on. But, acknowledge that, I think that would have been cool. But I think the unfortunate reality is that, and as some people I think have already mentioned, that, while John Cena was having his retirement tour out loud, AJ's kind of been having it all along, and we weren't paying close enough attention in some cases. So,
And
we
there
look back
was
across the last year since his announcement back last year. You've seen him, get the recognition in Japan. You've seen him have matches with Rhodes and Punk and Cena, and kind of going along that tour, possibly without us really even knowing.
yeah, and he even did a Mark Henry. He even pulled a Mark Henry with the fake retirement, the suit, everything. He had the Styles got to do a little bit of heel and face throughout this last year, and it's great to see. But it ended up becoming the main event of Monday Night Raw, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But what else happened on Monday Night Raw? If people didn't get to see it, the 6 women's tag team match: Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and Stephanie taking on Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and Roxanne Perez. And Ripley ended up hitting Perez with that Riptide and winning that 6 women's tag team match. Your thoughts on that match?
I think overall it was a great match. You see, 6 professionals getting in there and working together. Roxanne Perez continues to grow and become a better wrestler. She's kind of over the last couple of months been one I've been having to watch real closely because I've seen her work and have some struggles along the way. Well, to watch her progression as she's tightening up that work, and who she's working with will make a big difference there. But she's following the leads, she's following the cues, and she's putting together really good matches. And to be so still so young in the business, she's got a bright future ahead of her. And it's these ladies that are in this match still have a lot to give. Obviously, they're still young in most of their careers as well. The synchronicity that they were working with within that match was really pretty spot on. Couple of miscues here and there, but mostly those type of things were mostly what I was seeing in size differences between competitors. They struggled with a little bit because sometimes you can have an idea of what you're going to do but you haven't actually done that move to that person, or you might be thinking they're in one position when they're not. That kind of thing shows itself, but they work through them, and to the casual viewer, probably barely even noticeable. So. Really, really solid work with all those ladies. I would like to see Stephanie Vacour develop a little more personality, or decide what she's going to be, because she's pushed out there as this dark avenging angel persona, and but she just kind of comes out, points to the ceiling, and gently smiles. If it weren't for the goat horns, you'd think she was some school teacher or something there for a moment. But it'd be nice to see her get a little more attitude with her persona, no matter what she's which direction she's going to go long term. Get a little spice in there and fire up. But her in-ring work, not absolutely nothing anybody can say there. She's solid.
Yeah, and I want to give a big shout out to EO because, by God, she is phenomenal in
She's
the ring.
fantastic. She's
She,
absolutely fantastic, and to be working. And I think this is one of the things people don't consider enough. To be as good as she is, she's not good on her own. She has to work with another person. She has to communicate with her opponent, with the referee, with stagehands that are around the ring at times. Excuse me. And she has to do all those things verbally for the most part. WWE is heavily reliant on verbal cues. They don't do old school taps near as much as body signaling by touch that you would see in a lot of older, more old school guys, veterans. This day and age, they're quick productions down in the NXT factory, so they do it in a very straightforward method. The John Cena method of calling everything vocally and loudly. But she's having to do all of that, and English is by far not her first language. And she's doing this with English speakers of various accents, and that's the same thing you can say with Stephanie Vacour. English is not her first language, and she struggles with English. Yet you're seeing them in there working through that and communicating and putting on solid matches. For them to be doing that, if they spoke perfect English, think how much better they would be.
exactly, but she's very smooth, like with all her
Extremely.
transitions, her athleticism, and her ability to just go up the top rope and just do her thing. She's probably got one of the best moonsaults in the business today, right now,
Oh yeah,
100%.
it's very fluid. You don't ever see her. Most people that you see do moonsaults, you'll eventually see them drifting left or right, or their rotation will be off a little bit, or they won't have a set spot. It looks different every time they do it. EO's is like watching a video game character do it.
Yep.
It's perfect. every single time.
And
And if it's not perfect, I promise you it's not her fault. It's because somebody moved out of place that wasn't supposed to be. So,
basically, yep. But I do want to mention one thing before we transition into the next segment or
shoot.
match that we do is people on social media saying Roxanne Perez, she's taking too many pinfalls. She's getting buried. Let me ask everybody one question. How many losses did Alexa Bliss have in NXT when she first showed up and was in the business? A lot in NXT.
Yeah, she was a cheerleader gimmick.
Yeah, and now look what she is. Roxanne Perez can take the pinfalls, but then just
It's a
watch.
rookie year still.
Yes.
I mean, there's, and also look at who she's in the ring with. More often than not, she's in the ring with multi-year powerhouse veterans, former women's champions. Um, she runs into more former champions than non-champions on most nights. She's supposed to lose. Now, what you want to see is you want to see a progression. You want to see her building. You want to see her, and she's got a direct mentor character now. That's kind of the whole point. If people haven't been paying attention, Liv is there now, taking her as a protege and showing her how to do things the same way she did with Raquel, who is now vying for the women's championship.
Yep. And that
So
will.
she's grooming this woman to be the next her, essentially. But in doing so, she's going to get better. She's going to develop more. And the simple fact of the matter is, when they brought her on the show, as athletic as she is, as good as she is, she's also still very green in a lot of ways. So she does still make more mistakes than she should. The same thing can be said for Lyra Valkyria. But both women have taken their fair share of losses over the last year since they've come up from NXT. So if you compare those two by side, their win-loss record is probably pretty similar. And both of them are being paired with a veteran that's actively teaching them.
Yep. Bailey is a perfect example for somebody that's
precisely
taking somebody under their wing and like, hey, let's do it this way. And good for them. Good for them for being able to say, hey, I'm okay with doing that because, hey, this makes me a veteran. This makes me a person that everybody can learn from. And I've been on the main roster. I've done this. I've done that. I've transitioned from NXT to the main roster. And Liv took a lot of pinfalls, earlier on coming to the main roster too. So
you don't want the up and coming star to lose momentum. Right? You don't want them, you want them to still be a believable competitor. You still want them, to bring what heat they've got with them up from NXT and capitalize on that. But you also can't throw them in directly into something that's above their current capabilities, right?
Right.
Trick Williams is a pretty good example of that.
Mm-hmm. And
while he's very good, there's still a limit to his abilities that they have to understand what their investment is in this person and what their likelihood is of incidents. He hasn't worked for the company all that long in the grand scheme of things. He's still young. There's certain liabilities that have to be gauged there, right? So they're gonna reward hard work if they're smart. He's put in some work. He's got a lot of momentum. He's probably gonna start competing for some really good mid-card stuff very quickly.
Yep, and he
might even get mentioned by the top guys, but he's not going to be given a top spot for a while.
Yep, and
until he proves himself.
And he is 100% going to be on our swimmer sink segment later, sink or swim segment later on in the show. But up next, we want to transition a little bit because Stephanie Vaquer attacked Raquel backstage, and now that is transitioned into the match for on Monday Night Raw next week for the women's title. And I'm okay with it. They're giving Raquel a chance to shine, and she's kind of building up that character of that dominant presence of the Judgment Day, and it gives them something like, hey, if we need you, we know you're going to be there.
Yeah, and I mean, she's absolutely been working very hard. She's been, I mean, by all reports, she's been a very stable presence since she came up. She's not causing trouble. She's found her way to fit in with everybody. She's not rocking the boat. She works hard. She shows up. She does, she represents the company pretty well. She plays an excellent heel. She shows that in her, her both her ring work, her valet work. Um, she's got good promos, and furthermore, she's a good pairing for Stephanie Vaquer in the ring. Both of them speak Spanish, so they can get more out of each other that way than you would see Stephanie Vaquer and probably a Liv Morgan. No language barrier. They can get in there, mix it up, and you have a viable threat in the
size,
more
like
physically imposing.
Yep.
So it gives Stephanie Vaquer something to work with. And it doesn't have to be, promo battles that she's not really quite ready for. It can be a very physical engagement, and the fans be just as invested as they would have been if they'd had a 20-minute promo war. So I like it. I think it's a good pairing. I think it's rewarding hard work, which you need to see more of in the wrestling business. So
Yep.
I'm for it.
And now we're going to transition to some more female stuff with a video package aired of Natalia saying that she attacked Maxine Dupree because she's the new version of herself, and that she takes out Dupree, she's coming for everything else. I like it. I know there's a lot of people that are fans of Natalia's character that she goes in the indies that she's been working with a little bit. I'm okay with it. It gives the veteran and Maxine some more time to develop and work on their crafts. And Natalia, even though people criticize her, why hasn't she been released yet? She's a veteran that can teach a lot.
It absolutely does teach a lot. She's got, the Dungeon 2.0 going, and there's a lot of talent that trains with her. Active talent that's on the WWE roster, NXT roster, that they go to work with her and her husband and other trainers to take their stuff to the next level. You can't really ask for somebody better to teach you in-ring psychology than Natalya Neidhart.
Nope.
I mean, that you'd be crazy to think she doesn't have value, and no matter what she brings, and she's still very much able to go in the ring. She's reliable. She is, and has been for a while, the women's division version of break glass in case of main event. She's been their Dolph Ziggler, their Miz, somebody that hasn't always got the recognition she deserves, but damn it, find me a bad match. It doesn't exist.
And that's why she's always been sent down to NXT every once in a while just to, like, hey, you want to work with this one down here? Oh, hell yeah. And I think that's her reaction. I honestly do. I'm like, as soon as I see her come on television for NXT, I'm thinking, I know why she's here. And I'm not even mad about it, because she's there to help. And I think that's all she cares about, is helping the business in general, and she's not about herself. She's about everybody around her. So
yeah, and I completely agree. And I think it's well past time for the company to recognize that hard work, and they should absolutely give her a dominant title run. But at the same time, even if they don't, for anybody that thinks that she's not valid, I mean, she took somebody like, who thought that anybody was going to ever take Maxine Dupree and do anything with her? I mean, that woman had been around for years and hadn't done anything aside from mostly valet and take a pinfall.
And there's so many
legitimately
negative
trained her too well. Now you can watch her work, and she's pretty good to be a rookie.
Yep, I've seen so many negative comments on her, so many. Um, and this was going on before she started doing the stuff with Natalia and Becky. Like, it was, we can't take her seriously. She's not that
A lot
good.
of bubble-headed bimbo type comments,
Yeah,
and
and
yeah,
it's like, give her time. She's still fresh. I mean, she didn't really train in the ring as much as I don't think she did. I think she was more of the, like you said, the valet, and
yeah. I mean, she was playing a part that she was hired to do.
and I mean she probably did some, but I don't think she's doing as much as she is
Yeah,
now.
but the moment she had an opportunity to better herself, she did, and is still continuing to do so. And when somebody puts in the work, you have to respect it. You don't have to respect them as a person if you don't want to. If you got issues with them, that kind of stuff. But I mean, the girl goes in and puts in the work. She's training, and she's trying to do so in a very direct way. I think that's a better way than the mass production that you get out of NXT. The factory, the wrestler factory type setting. There, you build a better wrestler at an actual wrestling school. That's not to take away from anything from Matt Bloom or any of the trainers down there, but you're not getting the one-on-one time that you can get. You're not getting the amount of matches that you can get. And really being in a more independent setting, you're going to come across more more experience. Like I should reword this: a wider variety of experienced people that you're going to interact with. At NXT, they're getting the same trainers week after week after week, with some guest appearances here and there. But at most wrestling schools, you're going to come across a lot more people very quickly. Doing indies, you'll come across a lot more veterans pretty quickly to some degree or another that you can learn from. Sometimes it's what to do, sometimes it's what not to do. But that experience multiplies more quickly from an independent setting than it, I think, probably ever will in the classroom type setting you get with I'm training 10 wrestlers at one time type thing that you will. That should be more of a finishing school, in my opinion. And I think that's more what they're starting to try to do as they bring more independent guys up in NXT than they used to do instead of just going and finding random athletes. But they still do that to some degree. They'll find actors and gymnasts and all kinds of stuff and put them through there. But for as long as somebody's putting in the work and trying to grow themselves to be a professional wrestler, I'm not mad at that.
No, I'm not.
I definitely rambled there for sure, but
And she's gotten better each and every single week. Like it's from the week one of facing like Becky, you were like, okay, she's got something. Okay, I want to see what happens next. And then the following week, she does it again, and then she gets better again, and she puts on, I want to say it, a 4-star match with Becky, which I know Becky was probably like really helping with that situation. Like she was
oh,
carrying the majority
absolutely,
of the
she was
match.
definitely, and you could tell, it wasn't a perfect match as far as execution in either one of those. Really, any of Maxine's matches, none of them have been perfect execution. However, each time you see her, she is getting significantly better. And I'm telling you, that doesn't happen from one match to a next match. It's what's being done in between those matches.
Yep.
It's the other shows that they're doing, if they have the option. It's the, going back to the dungeon and training, putting in the work. They used to be able to do that more quickly when they did live events, but they're not doing the dark shows anymore, and it's pretty much all televised shows, and
Yeah.
you're not going to get as many reps in. And it's great for guys that have worked their way up from the indies and already kind of developed those skills. It's like, oh, I can kind of relax a little bit now. I don't have to take quite as much of a beating. But
Exactly.
for NXT talent, that they're just homegrown NXT, and this guy was a gymnast, 2 weeks before, or worked at the Waffle House, wherever, and somehow came in. That green as grass, that's a huge difference. It's a world of difference. It's a lot easier to teach somebody how to be a character than it is to teach them how to be a wrestler. And somebody that's willing to put themselves through the long-term punishment of being a professional wrestler is an entirely different thing too. So that, you're seeing already, we've seen talent that, went through NXT and already like retiring from the business because it got too hard too quick. And if they're quitting at that level, you'd never be able to make anything out of them in the long term. You'd never be able to rely on them. So there's certain things I just think that the independents, kind of sift out, kind of the bad fruit a little quicker, and develop more character typically than the alternative.
Agreed. But moving on to Adam Pearce reinstating Braun Breaker after, I guess, the phone call from last week. People have been on social media pointing out somebody was looking in the background. I don't know if that was just a looker, or if that was legit there to, hey, you know, watch, like, look, you look closely. But he also announced that all four members of the Vision will be in the Royal Rumble. Um, and then Logan Paul later in the show said the vision for the team should be taking and making sure that Breaker wins the Rumble. I have a sneaking suspicion. I do.
And what do you think that suspicion is, good sir?
Logan Paul is going to end up, you know.
Crossing the vision?
Mm-hmm. I do.
It definitely could be. It'd be a big swerve. It'd be kind of refreshing for them to do something different for once. Um, Now that said, the alternative is possible too. That for once, instead of discombobulating and dismantling a stable too soon by going to the immediate, once they get in the Rumble, they fight against each other routine. If they did play it completely straight, and they go in there and they actually do all work together, and it gets to the end and it's four of them and three of them put themselves over the top rope and let him win. I think whichever way that goes, those are going to be long-term memorable things to happen. If either one of those things were to happen, people would look back on it 10 years from now and go, you remember when that swerve happened, no matter which one of those happened. So
Yeah. And I don't even think it's going to be Logan Paul that eliminates Breaker. I don't. I don't think that's the. I don't think that's the vision. Pun intended. I think it could either be Logan Paul eliminating Austin Theory, or Austin Theory eliminating Logan Paul. 1,000,000%.
yeah, or a conveniently accidental, elimination. Oh, I didn't mean to help that guy push you out.
Something like
Tons of
that.
different ways you can play it.
Yep.
It depends on whether they want the big drama or the little drama. Do they want it to be heat amongst members, or do they want it to be a complete betrayal of the faction, or or if they want anything out of it at all?
And I think that's
Either way, they've done their job because we're talking about it. So,
and I think the perfect middleman for that to kind of slowly sizzle out is Paul Heyman. 100%. He's going to be able to listen. It happened. Um, let's move on, move forward. We're still the Vision. We're still a team. Paul Heyman's a mastermind. We know he's capable of being like, hey, it's okay. Okay, it was every man for himself. Something like that.
for sure, and they could play it that way, and it's honestly kind of the likely way for them to play it, based on stuff they've done in the past. What I'd actually like to see them do, what I think they should do as a business decision, is the Vision should play it straight. Be that one unit that's ever actually been able to hold it together. put Heyman over as the visionary that could hold the vision together. He's that freaking good that he could, coached everybody through the whole thing, and everybody worked so perfectly together. And that makes them that much more dangerous of a unit that you can't derail them. I think that's a better long-term route to go. But at the same time, they need something to talk about at the water cooler Monday morning. So I think that's
Exactly.
more Triple H's speed, to be honest with you. He's kind of shown in the past that he has about the long-term thinking of Vince. So not a ton. Every now and then a squirrel finds a nut. Every blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. But, by and large, it's mostly been month-to-month gratification. So the fact that you got the vision to last as long as it has it's a good sign. But it ain't no bloodline. We're not 3 years in yet.
Yeah, and it's not an evolution. It is not
definitely not an evolution.
Yeah.
They don't feel intimidating like they did in the past. And I think a lot of that is due to the actual stature of the guys. None of them are particularly tall. So, Seth was actually, when he was in there, he was the tallest of the group. So
yeah, and he's like that missing.
Except for maybe Logan, but Logan doesn't. He's not intimidating anybody. So,
but Rollins was like that missing puzzle piece right now, in my opinion. Like nothing against any
yeah,
of
it's
them.
missing. It's missing that main event edge. They don't. None of them feel like champions yet. None of them feel like,
even though Breaker is the
iconic
closest
personas. They're getting there, yeah. And again, 10 years from now, you're going to look back and these guys are going to have tons of history. They're going to be, looked at as top guys in the business by far. But, they're just not there yet. And that's okay.
and
A lot of that's been company mishandling, but...
And that's okay to a certain point, too, because if people can still look at what's happened throughout the last year is Bronson Reed has a couple wins over Roman Reigns, for goodness sake. Like, right
Absolutely.
then and there, it's like, this guy has wins, even though he hasn't been wrestling lately, which kind of sucks, because I want to see another match with him. But we're getting to see somebody that everybody, for a very long time, has said, underutilized. That was just a key word for Austin Theory. Austin Theory is underutilized, which we can transition into the match with Rey Mysterio now, with Austin Theory defeating Rey Mysterio after the stomp, and after the match, Division continued to attack Dragon Lee, Penta, and Mysterio. But Mysterio is also injured because the referee threw up the X.
Yeah, and of course, this day and age, how much of that can you really believe?
Well,
but
just the way I when I saw it and looked at it is they were attacking Mysterio, and then all of a sudden, all of them like just turned straight to Dragon Lee and Penta, like they noticed, type of thing. You could even see it on, I can't remember whose face it was, and then the referees were over there checking on him on the side of the ring, and so when he threw up the X, and they didn't touch Ray after that. They were like, stay away, type of thing. So
yeah. I think more than likely it is a legitimate injury, but at the same time, you do kind of have to ask yourself a little bit because of what they did with Seth, which was a smart decision, by the way. But when they said faked Seth's injury, it drew into question, how much can you count on the dirt sheets? How much can you count on, the wrestling podcaster to get leaked to him about
exactly.
What actually happened? So. I think that's a good thing. I think it, there needs to be more indecisiveness and more, a little more mystery about whether somebody's legitimate injured or not. And in the long term, it's kind of a smart decision because now Austin Theory looks like the guy that took out Rey Mysterio. He took out, probably the best active legend you've, Like
Besides the
who else?
Styles,
Who else at Ray's age was ever that good?
not many.
But
Not many.
I can't
Michaels,
I can't name one. Michaels was good, but he wasn't Ray good. I'm talking about just in ring work, purely on an in ring. Sean was better all the way around, probably more
yeah.
well rounded.
I
But
guess
just
what
from
you're
a
trying to say is like high
purely
flying.
athletic ability,
Yeah,
just purely
Ray.
athletic and
It's
in
crazy
shape,
to
and
me.
yeah.
It is so crazy to me how much like athletic Rey Mysterio is. He can do moves that he was able to do moves now from what he did at Halloween Havoc against Eddie Guerrero. He could still
Mhm.
do some
And
of those moves.
I was actually noticing that Monday Night Raw, so many of people and kind of the generation that really grew up with Rey Mysterio only really remember him from WWE. Most of them only after he put on mass to be in the heavyweight class, to be competing against JBL and Hurt and all these different ones. He put on a lot of muscle. He looked way bulkier. He was also slower and less athletic during that time. He looks now, he's leaned back down quite a bit, but he's still in amazing shape. He looks just like he did, aside from added, more tattoos. He looks just like he did at Halloween Havoc against Eddie Guerrero.
Exactly, he does.
He's in amazing shape, and the dude can do pretty much anything you need him to do.
Yeah, and
He's another one that's just he's kind of just there to still be that break glass in case of main event situation. Like wherever you need me, I can jump in, coach. And
yep.
he's also you know not there playing politics trying to take somebody's spot. He doesn't need to. He's been there, done that, got the Hall of Fame ring. So
Yeah, there's not many guys that you can say they're on that same level as Rey Mysterio in the ring. But I'm excited to talk about this one because I think we're gonna have a little bit of a disagreement. I don't know. We'll see. Otis and Akira Tozawa defeats the Creed brothers, New Day, and Los Americanos via pinfall to become number one contenders for the World Tag Team Championship. Your thoughts, sir?
I love it. I think it's long overdue. Um, Akira Tozawa is easily one of, and has been consistently one of, the unsung heroes of professional wrestling for a long time. For people that don't know his history, the dude was a veteran before he ever got to WWE. He's technically one of the most proficient wrestlers on the face of the planet. The dude has the fitness level of a freaking Ironman triathlon, those people. Like the dude could go. Otis has overcome trash storyline after trash storyline after we don't know what to do with you. You can't argue the guy's been a company guy and put in the work.
I was about to say that because he has done so many different things. Like I know people say, "Oh, we don't like yes men." Sometimes you got to be that to keep you around. Like you
Yeah, I
got
mean,
to.
and he's an untraditional professional wrestler. While he's an amazingly strong guy and he's got a great personality, he doesn't have the look that they want out of, the guy that carries the company. He's not built like Cody Rhodes. He's not built like AJ or Roman. But he found his spot, right? For better or worse, you can think that, the whole world's shallow, and it is, but he made the best of a shit situation. Most guys with his ability would be sitting at home on the couch eating Cheetos, and never would have, amounted to anything. But he built himself, and he's an athlete. He doesn't necessarily look like one from the outside looking in, if you saw him out in the street and didn't know who he was, he's completely untraditional, outside the box, right? But he found a spot, he made it work. He's made millions of people happy watching his matches, watching his promos. He makes the kids smile. He's there having a good time. He's invested in the company. He's not going to misrepresent you as a champion. The dude's been nothing but green flags since he got there. He's a guy you can put a belt on. It just took him a lot longer necessarily to convince the company he was that guy. But you can't tell me now, looking back, for sure, this is absolutely a guy that deserves to have the championships. Now, is it the greatest look for some of the other guys that were in that match? No. But then how many more tag team championships do the New Day need?
Not many.
Would it be great to see them back on top again? Sure. But you got to build new guys too. And you got to build the Creed brothers. They got derailed by Chad Gable not being around. And that sucks, but that's where they've got to work on themselves and sell themselves to the bosses. They've got to prove, that on what they can do. But they've still been getting work. They've been getting, to go do AAA and different things. So
honestly,
that's not a bad thing.
I think we will disagree because I was like Creed brothers. I feel like they deserve it. They've earned it because
I don't disagree there. I just think it's a timing issue.
I think they're waiting
Chad's going to be back soon.
Yeah, I think he's getting ready.
The rivalry you can build with them and Tozawa and Otis. I think that's the feud you build. If you want to build two new tag teams, you got to build a feud, right? What built the New Day and the Usos? It's their feud, right? So, you build two teams that can go at each other. Americanos is a numbered game. It's the days are numbered on that gimmick, because everybody does know who they are, right? Right now they're doing good stuff for AAA, but how long does that is that really survivable? Especially considering it's a directly Eddie Guerrero inspired gimmick. But with him and old Bret Barr. But they're doing something cool, something innovative. It's definitely people are going to remember it, but there is going to come that time, when Chad Gable's back, where you have to, assess, do you want to beg that part of the story that, the Americanos go at it and one of them gets unmasked and maybe they both accidentally get unmasked. They're going to tell that story at some point, more than likely. So the Americanos, you've got three of the most proficient technical wrestlers in all of WWE. And some would probably argue that they're some of the better ones in the world. And you've got them doing silly Lucha Libre parody gimmicks. I hate it for them, but at the same time, they're making money. They're wrestling and making money, so that's not a bad thing. It's not what they want there to be remembered for, so I hate it for them in that regard, and I hope they definitely get their looks long term as individual stars. But if not, they're still getting a good career, so they can't be bad too much with that, and it's only temporary. But they're not a long-term tag team. I don't see. I think the long-term tag team is definitely going to be the Creed brothers. I don't see them as individual stars on their own at all. At least not anytime soon, because they've got to develop some personality. If they do, I think they'll be all right. But they're definitely athletic. They can definitely work in the ring. But the fans aren't invested in them at all. And that's the problem. They need to get the fans invested. And I don't see that happening until Chad comes back in some form or another.
And we'll see that eventually. But moving on to the main event, Styles Punk for the world title. Um, Ended up Punk retaining due to Finn Balor's interference. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I was okay with it. You don't want Punk to take a pinfall. You don't want Styles to take a pinfall, and you also need to give Balor that edge back. Um, and I feel like he's getting it, and I feel like we both talked about this off air. Like Balor should get a chance at the title at the Rumble. He has earned that right for a title shot at a pay per view and not just a Monday Night Raw. I don't care what anybody else says. Unless they go and kind of move forward with this feud a little bit longer and hit into Elimination Chamber, I'm okay with that too. But that's the question. Like, what do you do? Do you put him? Do you put those two together at Rumble? I feel like 4 matches is. I mean, we all know the Rumbles are going to take 2 hours there, so easily you could put that title match there.
Yeah, and I think they should. And otherwise, what was it for? Because you also have to look at what AJ did in that match. Like, with let me put it this way: if he retires this weekend, it's going to feel like unfinished business with Balor if he doesn't capitalize on it.
Yep, and I agree with
Because
that.
otherwise, you would have had a comeback match. You would have had the logical conclusion, if AJ weren't already having the match with Gunther, would have been, okay, now you make this a 3-way dance. You make it a triple threat. AJ, Balor, Punk. That's obviously not what they're doing because they've got the Gunther stipulation match. And I think with AJ retiring, if Balor doesn't actually go over and win the championship at the Rumble, I think you're going to have some pissed off fans, which is not necessarily always a bad thing, but I think long term it's a bad decision. It's a bad way to capitalize on a limited resource, which is ultimately what that is. AJ is going out the door and just essentially put a guy over. And if you squash Balor again, if Balor fails to win again, it's done. Right? I don't see him getting another title shot. It just wouldn't make sense. They could try to do another demon story, but I think that's way overdone and a dumb way to go with it. The only logical business decision there is for Balor to go over. And again, storylines. And while the Rumble winner is a big, situation coming out of the Royal Rumble, he's only picking one person that he faces. You still got the Elimination Chamber side of things, which really affects both brands, but both brands are still very much up in the air as far as how those championship matches take place, where everybody ends up falling in the card. The different feuds that are going to come out of. We may not even have Punk and Balor in the picture come WrestleMania. We don't know. That's assumed.
You just never know. Like
but
you
it could
said,
be a completely different set of guys, and those guys could be feuding over the Intercontinental title by then. Or they could be forced into a tag team then or something. There's still a ton of time between Mania to build possible storylines and ones that will go up, down, cross boundaries. I mean, it's going to get complicated at some points, and it should if they're doing it right. Otherwise, it's just more predictable bullshit, and that nobody's going to want to watch. So, if you want ratings to go up, if you want people to, be invested next week, give them a reason to be. Balor should go over.
Balor's. That's where we might disagree. I feel like I don't think Punk or Balor will win clean in this one. I think it's the perfect time for Dominic Mysterio to interfere. Just due to the fact that Liv Morgan was backstage and heard the conversation between Punk and Balor. That is the tease right there. Liv can go back to Dominic. Dominic interferes and costs Balor the title. There you go. I think they've been teasing this whole Balor leaving Judgment Day for a very long time. I know it was Ireland, but you heard the crowd reaction. Balor is over, 100% still over. He still has some abilities to be a crowd favorite.
Mm-hmm. And
And
he's better as a face, to be completely
yes,
honest. He is. Yeah,
utilize that.
To be fair to your point, I think it'd be a pretty decent way to go if he did leave it. A lot of it just comes down to timing, how everything plays in, and what direction they want to go versus what they necessarily need to.
Yeah, and I believe it's Balor and Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. If
It very
Dominic's
well could be. Yeah,
if
it very well
Dominic
could be,
is
or they could be even trying to push Dominic into a world title picture by getting interfering in a championship match, or maybe he doesn't interfere and challenge, wants to be Balor's first challenger, starts getting in that conversation. Different ways you could go with it for sure. And obviously nothing's set in stone whatsoever when it comes to professional wrestling. Card is subject to change,
especially with the Rumble, because nobody predicted Jey Uso last year. Nobody.
That's true.
Everybody predicted Punk. Everybody predicted Roman. Everybody predicted Cena. Cena was like the number one. They were like, "Oh, Cena's winning it, 100%." No, they did a twist. That can transition into the next segment because, well, let's not. We'll wait for the Rumble because we still have Tommaso Ciampa officially leaving WWE. I know you have your opinions.
I'm never short of opinions. It's a loss for WWE for sure. But I think long term it's a gain for Tommaso Ciampa. The reality of it is he got to WWE late in his career, and while he had a tremendous character on the Indies, WWE didn't know what to do with that past NXT Black and Gold. They, he's this grizzled old veteran type character, but they never really could believe him as a heavyweight contender. So he was only ever going to be mid card with the company at that point. It's an unfortunate thing for his career with them that limited him. But he was able to have an amazing career there as a tag team competitor. I think he'll be remembered in WWE for a long time with his work in NXT. So he didn't have a bad career there. Johnny Gargano is going to be he's going to be dead in the water now, I think, without him. He doesn't fit the mold either.
Nope.
And I don't think they really know what to do with him, aside from they'll give him the bottom card treatment for a while until he decides he's done with it. But it's good for Ciampa that if he wants to go to AEW, he could do big things over there. He can still go to New Japan, do big things there. His career is far from over, and honestly, I think he'll make more money now than he would have. This is probably the best move he could have made. If he goes to AEW, he could very well negotiate himself into being a world heavyweight champion very quickly, in the grand scheme of things. So he's got a fan base that's pretty solid behind him. He's still got a lot in the tank, so I think he'll be just fine. Whereas Johnny Gargano is fucked.
Yeah, and I was gonna. That was the only thing I was gonna say.
Until his contract runs out too. I'll put it that way. But
the only thing I was gonna say is I don't think it was necessarily gonna hurt Tommaso. I don't think it was necessarily gonna hurt WWE in the long run. I think was going to hurt Johnny Gargano in the long run.
Hmm.
That was probably the biggest takeaway for me is what do you
Yeah,
do now?
it sucks for him. But it's a chance for him to prove everybody wrong that, sink or swim, as they say. So, he could still do stuff. I don't see him ever being a top guy by any means, but I mean, he could do some intercontinental title work maybe. His It's not a lack of ring work or ring, skill as a worker. It just comes down to he doesn't have, to borrow a phrase from the children, aura about him. Um, he doesn't. He's not an intimidating person. He's the best he's going to do is be that Weasley guy that comes in and steals one. Um, he's going to be pigeonholed more than likely. I don't want to see that, but that's kind of the reality. There's only so far some people get, and I don't see him getting much beyond mid card at all, and I don't see him staying there very long.
No, but that can also transition. And I love that word now because we've been using it a lot. But with one guy leaving, we have a new guy coming in. Evil is expected to sign with WWE after leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling and dropping their title recently. I want to kind of start this one off. There's a lot of people on social media saying, "Oh, it's just going to be another one of those that they don't do anything with, like Shinsuke or a couple other ones that also had Go to Sleep as their finisher." You just never know. I think Evil, with his personality and his character, I think he will do very well in NXT. He's also a veteran. He knows what he's capable of, and that just adds another element to that NXT roster with the losses of a couple guys and girls going up to the main roster. You need some more veteran presence down there. And I think Evil brings that. I'll be honest.
So I'm going to both agree and disagree at the same time. Not even necessarily disagree, but kind of agree with both kind of sides you presented there. Rather, all the good things you just said, I agree, and I think 100% they should bring him in and just let him go. Just, I mean, aside from teach him, how to work with Americans, past that, changed nothing about his persona, changed nothing about his character, how he's presented. Let him wrestle how he wrestles. Let him be what got him to the game. Right? That's what you're hiring. Don't try to change it like they've done with people in the past. Shinsuke, they did a really good job of doing that. He essentially, aside from dialing down some of the strong style stuff, by and large, he was the same Shinsuke in WWE that he was in New Japan. His style didn't change much. His persona and, whatnot didn't change much. It, over time, lost some luster, for sure. But, there was more retention than anything. The flip side of that argument is he does feel like he is just kind of coming in to replace Shinsuke. Not just to be another Shinsuke per se, but he's winding down, so they got to bring somebody in to be their token Japanese guy. That, their token New Japan, I don't speak very good English, bad guy. That they're notorious for doing over the years. What was his name? Kenzo Suzuki.
Oh my god, that's a name.
Way back, right?
that's a way.
He's so he's not their shins. Well, I should probably reframe this then. Now that I've remembered that name, he's not coming in to necessarily be the new Shinsuke. He's coming in to be the new Shinzo Suzuki.
Yeah,
that's what I'm afraid is going to happen. I hope that's not the case. That's the pattern, from over the years. Now, granted, that was a different era. That was Vince. But how much have they really changed? Most of the guard is still there. So the writer's room hasn't changed that much. Still a lot of the same mentality. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully they embrace, the fact that, embrace his history with where he's been, acknowledge it, don't try to hide it and pretend that he's just popped up out of, the ether. Like, if he's a badass, you want to remember his history. So let's bring it in. Let's make it all part of his character and just build on that. Build on what he's already got. Don't take away from him like they like to do with a lot of guys. Rebranding can be a good thing in some cases, but this is the age of the internet. Everybody remembers who people are. So you got to trademark some stuff, I understand. But past that, you don't want people to forget who he was before. But I think that would be a bad move on their part.
Okay, I see your point. I do. I think Evil, bring him in, same presentation, same characters, same everything. I don't think he necessarily has to talk. Just have him come in and be evil. That's it. That's all you need.
Yeah, give him a handler. That's fine. And honestly, it's a nice old school throwback if you give him one, whether he needs it or not. Let it be part of the gimmick. But at the same time, like, my whole thing is just don't just make him the token Jap guy like Vince used to do. Like, we don't make him a Funaki,
Or
let
a
him,
Tajiri, in a way.
yeah, don't hold them in the middle just because you can, because they're not the golden boy from the suburbs that you imagine is the hero of every story. So it's okay to have ethnically diverse champions.
Agreed on that. But up next is our sink or swim segment, and you know one of the names, so we'll start off with him. Austin Theory, sink or swim.
The boys are gonna swim. I actually got to train with him back in the day at WWA 4 in Atlanta, which is kind of somewhat the descendant of the power plant at one point in time. But even then, like, the dude's always been super, super talented. To see him, kind of struggle over the years never really made sense to me, because he had everything the company wanted. He had the look, he could talk, he can work. He wasn't really anybody's problem child. He never made a history with anybody, at least not that I can recall of him crossing somebody the wrong way. I just literally think they had no idea what to do with him, and for no good reason. Like, he should have absolutely been a contender long time ago.
Right after beating Cena at Mania. That is my argument right there.
Yeah,
perfect example.
Literally, the only reason I've ever come up with is why he didn't go further is because maybe he rubbed Cena the wrong way in that process. But Cena's not going to let the guy go over if he doesn't, agree that he's supposed to be something. So,
yep.
Like, why wouldn't you keep that momentum going? So,
I think he'll swim.
It's never made sense to me how they handled him, but I'm glad to see he's getting some recognition now. It was great to see him go over against Ray. Get well soon, Ray. But he's a good worker. I think he's finally found, I think, the version of himself that he needs to be over. Sky's the limit for the guy. He reminds me a lot of a younger Buff Bagwell. He's got the physique. He's got all the tools that he could be to get to the top, and just for some reason has been mishandled. But now's his time to make something of it. and he's getting an opportunity to do so. I hope he capitalizes on it, and I think he will if he's really given the chance to just go after it and achieve it. I think he will. The boy's a swimmer. He's been swimming against the tide, against the current for all this time, right? So now that the current's moving in his direction, I think he'll get there.
Okay. Javon Evans, sink or swim. That's a good one too.
Um, that one's a fun one because I think he's got all the tools to swim. My fear is that he's going to sink because he injures himself.
Which was
So he's got.
already, I think, on SmackDown.
Exactly. Yeah, he's already banged himself up. So he doesn't want to present himself as fragile, right? Because that's going to start making him look like a bad investment too. But the kid is a star currently. Is a star. He's selling merch actively. So I think the sky's the limit for him if he can keep from being injured. And in order to do so, he does need to learn how to do some other stuff besides just the high spots. He doesn't need to do the greatest hits every night. I think he needs to do a little more storytelling in his matches. Doesn't need to risk it for the biscuit every single time. It's hot right now and it's popular, but while he's still got momentum on his side, he needs to slow down a little bit, play a little more psychology. I think it'll be to his benefit in the long run.
Okay.
So he's one I'll say remains to be seen. He can swim, but how strong of a swimmer is he?
And
is he a smart fish or is he a dumb fish?
And that's my answer too, honestly, because I want to say he swims, but I also see him sinking just a little bit and then coming right back up for air type of thing. I don't see him necessarily like, oh, he's swimming. That dude is going. But I also don't see him totally sinking either.
Thus far, he's really presented himself as mostly one-dimensional. Right? He's a very easy to like face. He's hip with the young kids these days, right? But that's Jeff Hardy. You know what I mean? Like, Jeff Hardy's had a legendary career, but not so much as singles, and without Matt, he never would have got as far as he did. So, there's only so far the one trick pony's going to go. So he's got to learn how to do other stuff. He's going to have to learn how to be, a heel at some point. That's just part of it. The reality is he's probably not going to be a face his entire career. I actually have a vision of what I'd like to see done with him. We might say for a different topic down the road, of different factions that are there to be made that aren't being done that should be. But they've got a lot of tools to work with the kid. So I think he's gonna have a successful career, but how long? And the gimmick can get old quick sometimes. So I hope he's got more tools in the bag than what he's presented thus far, and I think he does. But
can he reinvent himself?
Timing can be a very, very tricky thing, and that's one thing we'll probably come up with a lot. Is timing is everything. Yeah. You can have all the tools needed. Sometimes if you're not ready at that one particular moment, you can still miss it. So,
and good examples of Rollins and Jericho who reinvented themselves perfectly over the years. Like they've done it. They've done it multiple times. Can Javon Evans do that? Again. Can he do that? Like, is he going to be, on bouncy all his career? or is he gonna show that edge at some point? He's shown it a little bit in NXT, but not totally. Like I feel like he's always gonna be
Yeah,
like just that close, just
the
that
fun guy they
close.
bring out to open up the show.
Yeah,
And that's unfortunately the same spot that Apollo Crews got stuck in for a long time. And
that's a
I
great
can tell
example.
you, Uha Nation was one of the baddest sons of bitches you ever saw on the Independents. He did amazing stuff as Apollo Crews in NXT. Then he got to the main roster, and they didn't do nothing with him. Aside from, oh, I'm the guy with a big, nice, pretty smile, and I can do a cool backflip, onto somebody, and I'm built like a super heavyweight. He became a gimmick, and now he had to take some time off due to injury, and he kind of repackaged himself, but he's still not getting the exposure to show that. So hopefully he gets that chance, but until he does, Javon doesn't want to end up in that spot. Just because you have a ton of talent doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to get recognized.
Yeah,
We talked about Austin Theory. He was stuck in the same spot for a long time.
and
Just because
it's
you're
so
talented
easy.
doesn't mean it's always going to get recognized. And
Yep.
you could be a strong swimmer, still sometimes the pool goes dry.
Yep. Like I always look at it like this. There's so many. I'm not saying like faces, like face and heel. I'm saying there's so many faces backstage that's
Mm-hmm.
going for the same goal, the same
The talent
opportunity.
pool is deeper than it's ever been.
Yeah, and it's gonna be very hard for Javon Evans to be like 100%
To stay relevant without
relevant
if he's not
there.
able to, if he does he if he doesn't have more in his tool bag, he needs to start adding to his tool bag and do it pretty quickly.
Which
Because
is,
rookie year's over pretty quick. So that rookie year is really going to define a lot for him.
but I will say one thing, and this is why it makes me think that he won't totally sink, but I think he'll swim at parts. Some of his matches against Obafemi, top tier, top tier.
Yeah, I mean, I can already, we already both know if he's clean to compete, that dude's a shoe in for Money in the Bank.
He's gonna
You
be
don't
the
put
next
him in a
Kofi.
Money in the Bank ladder match, you're crazy.
I see.
And they've already hinted
Yeah.
at little things in his matches about they were hinting. I forget the spot exactly what it was, but there was an acrobatic thing he did that was like, oh, they're hinting at what he's going to do in the Rumble to survive. It was a Kofi type spot, and it was like, oh, okay, I see how they're going to play this if they're smart. So, and like I said, the dude's got a ton of talent, but you mentioned Kofi. Kofi got to the top, but he quickly went back to the middle.
Yep.
Um,
And
I mean,
that's
look
not
at
a bad
Shelton
thing.
Benjamin. How many times was he in that
Oh
match?
my gosh, Benjamin.
And never made it to the top. Look at Andrade. You know what I mean?
There's so many
Andrade
names.
had his own issues that led to his problems, but just because you got the tools doesn't mean you're always going to survive the politics and everything else. So
Exactly. And crowds and
it's a
fans.
hell of a business.
The fans can turn just like that. Just like that.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Instantly. So
If they watch you miss a spot,
they're gonna call you out.
Become a heel overnight because you screwed up a move. Like it's not that hard.
Everybody's been saying, "Oh, it's this era, this era, this era." It's the social media era, and it's been like that for years. Yeah. So it's gonna be like that for decades. Mm-hmm. It's never gonna change. It's always gonna be the social media era. Fans know, fans see, fans talk, fans communicate, fans disagree or agree. And when it comes to a guy like Javon Evans, that ceiling is very high. It's how far can he jump? And that goes to the next guy like Trick Williams. Will he sink or swim? I believe he'll swim. I don't think he'll be like a Javon Evans where he'll go down and sink a little bit and come right back up. He's got the personality. He's got the gimmick. He's very good on the mic. I think,
Yeah, I mean, he was essentially handed Booker T's gimmick on a silver platter. I mean,
and nothing
not
wrong with that.
in entirety.
Nothing wrong
No,
with that.
I mean, his in a lot of ways he is inheriting that, that lane, right? And nobody's been able to fill that lane for a long time since Booker. You know, he's a very brash, and he very much like The Rock in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
A very brash heel that is so heelish you kind of dig it, right?
And he's
He's
so good
that
on the
cool
mic.
bad guy. Not
He's
very often
cool.
is somebody a cool bad guy. Most of the time they're very plain Jane,
Yep.
wearing all black, or they're really irritating, like The Miz would do, or that Seth would do.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very rare you get a flashy, believable bad guy. Very, very rare. Very rare do you get a Flair, a Rock. Like these guys don't come around very often. He has 1000% all the tools. He's got the build, he's got the look, he's got the mic skills, he's got great in-ring work. Still got a long way to go, but he's only getting better. I liked what he did in with his work in NXT. It showed a little bit where he lacked, because they didn't take it easy on him in matches. Santana, called the spots, and he didn't always quite keep up. Santana didn't let it slide and pace himself for him like a lot of WWE guys will, but that's not his job.
Exactly.
Not his job to get somebody else up to his performance level, at a certain point. So that's something only training can do, only reps can do. If he keeps putting them in, that dude, in a year from now, I'd throw a strap on him, no problem. I'm talking big belt. Let him keep going. Because that's a guy you can hang your hat on for the next 15, 20 years, maybe.
Yep. And the one thing that a lot of people don't know is Trick Williams is so good on the mic. He was getting TV shows. Like, he's been performing on TV shows now. Already. People are calling him up, hey, you want to be on this TV show? I don't know if you knew that. I think it's on Crunchyroll or whatever that one is. He's on a TV show.
He's getting voiceover work.
He was actually him on there. No, he was actually
okay.
He was actually something about getting shot. His character got shot or whatever, but like he was involved, and he was in an actual TV show like himself. And
hey, again, that's what you want out of your top guys, is that versatility, especially in this day and age. And people say this day and age, it's not even a this day and age thing. It's the same thing Hogan did, right? Your top guy has more opportunities. He's going to get movies. He's going to get, they're going to have their Thunder Lips moment of some form or another, right? Hogan's doing Rocky, and he's doing, his own series of weird freaking Soldier of Fortune movies.
Babysitting ones, and
much like Cena had the Marine.
And The Rock, great example.
Triple H did his movies.
Austin.
Rock did, obviously huge in Hollywood. Austin did. I mean, they did everything from freaking Nash Bridges to The Condemned. So that's a guy that you want to be able to cross boundaries. It's not a current thing. You want relevance. Yep. You want your business to be talked about. Having your guys be able to go and do other things is great. It puts more eyes on what you're doing as a product.
The key word, exposure, 100%. And you look at guys like you mentioned that they've done it, and They know how to do it. Cody's doing it now. Roman's doing it now with
with
Mortal
Street
Kombat
Fighter.
and Street Fighter. And
Mm-hmm.
I said Mortal Kombat because I think that's it, right? Or Street Fighter.
Street Fighter is the one they just did.
Okay, I could have swore it was something, but they're doing it, and then you're gonna see more and more people do it. Seth is trying to get into it. MJF, remember I told you
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
MJF's
just did
doing
Happy
it.
Gilmore too, and he's
Yep.
got like 3 other movies he's been filming. Um, I mean, Cena's actively got Peacemaker. Um, he's got his. I mean, he does everything from Honda commercials, to cereal.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. And that,
but
and I at one point,
versatility is what you want.
maybe the next episode, I actually kind of want to branch more onto that because I want to talk about like Batista, somebody that we didn't even mention, Batista.
Mm-hmm.
In the roles that he did with Guardians of the Galaxy, perfect character. And I'm excited about the movie that comes out today, later today or tomorrow or whatever, and it's going to be Batista and on Amazon
Jason
Prime.
Momoa, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Batista's really good. He's leaned to do more roles, and he's just doing it. And I feel like that's
Yeah, he's become a lot more wide ranged of an actor than I think everybody ever predicted.
exactly. And it's kind of crazy because I don't even know if you knew this, but originally they wanted Batista to be Peacemaker, and then it went to Cena.
Which to me that would have made no sense.
No.
Like, Batista's Peacemaker just doesn't really fit. But there's a lot of other stuff he can do out there. So bear with me just a minute here, bro.
Okay. But that's one thing I'll say, guys, is when it comes down to it, you see some of these guys and actors that's been there, done that, and did professional wrestling. The Rock is a great example. Batista, Cena, those 3 are the main ones, because Hogan did some, but he didn't stick to it, like these 3 did. So when it comes down to it, that's what you want, is somebody that can do many things and styles and television shows and movies and stuff. So it's good to see. And then when Power Driver comes back, we will be talking about the next person. We were gonna do Jordan Grace, but I feel like we can do that and branch off later for her. So the next one is gonna be Lash Legend, and then Obafemi. I'm excited about talking about those 2, and then we will get into the Royal Rumble predictions in the card. So stay tuned and get ready for some more of the Hot Tag Podcast.
You already lost. You just don't know it yet. This is survival. This is do or die. Winner takes everything. I take it all.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hot Tag Podcast. We are diving into the Royal Rumble predictions to end the podcast show of this week, and we will see you guys after the Royal Rumble with talking about everything that went down at the Rumble. But right now, we're going to do some predictions about the Royal Rumble. First off, AJ Styles puts his career on the line against Gunther.
That one's a tough one.
It's a very tough
'Cause
one
I
to
think
start off.
Nobody wants to see AJ go.
No.
It definitely does feel too soon. My prediction is that he puts Gunther over and rides off into the sunset. That said, I don't think he'll be completely done with wrestling. I think he'll take a little time off and probably, go back to New Japan for a big paycheck at some point, because they'll offer him too much money to refuse at some point, and probably AEW will probably do the same thing. maybe even popping back at TNA for something. So it's not to say he's necessarily entirely retiring from professional wrestling or working in it in some capacity. Um, you know, going to NXT, working as a trainer there possibly, or some in production. Um, but I do feel like, in spite of there not being a whole lot of um, chatter coming down through, what you would normally see through the wrestling community, you're really only seeing it in the dirt sheets. You're really only seeing it put out there, publicized that he's done, and in official WWE capacity. Normally, you've got the rumor mill, that leaks from backstage that kind of filters all the way down. So either nobody's surprised by it internally, which is very much a strong possibility. Could be a swerve, but I doubt it. I think this is a way for him to go out doing what he's supposed to do, put a young talent over and help build the next generation. Whether we agree or disagree with how they're utilizing Gunther in this, destroyer streak, if he doesn't go over on AJ, then that kind of comes to an end. And they would be failing Gunther in a lot of ways. It'd be, failing to utilize what they've done with him so far. So I don't see them doing that. I see them absolutely capitalizing on it, building Gunther even further. Now it might be some sort of shady win of some sort. But my prediction is AJ goes out on his shield. He's whoever he works for, he's a company guy. So I think he's gonna leave his boots in the ring, man.
Okay, and I love that we have different opinions. I believe, and this is my bold prediction, AJ Styles wins. And this is how you do it. I think Gunther is going to have Styles in a submission. Referee will not see the tap out, just like Gunther did on Monday Night Raw with the calf crusher. Styles rolls out. Gunther is arguing with the referee, turns around, phenomenal forearm pin. That's how Styles continues his career. Styles beats Gunther.
And hey, I honestly, I hope that's the case. I hope they continue going forward. My prediction is mostly based upon the WWE pattern of disappointment, unfortunately. But I'd love to see him, take the story on into the summer. Like they can go anywhere they need to with this. Like they could go another year. I mean, it's the wrestling business. If a guy says, "Oh, this is my last year," you never say never. If the right money comes across, they'll, him and his wife will reconsider. That they'd be stupid not to. But, if he does stay, I hope that they utilize it correctly. And the only real way to utilize that correctly would be for him to be back in the world title picture for the rest of his career. Much the way that Cena was. Otherwise, what's he doing there? If at least at some portion should be world title picture. And it'd be great to see him go down and do some stuff with TNA, help elevate them while still with WWE. Tons of different stuff they can do that I'd like to see them do. So I really hope that, that Rumble ain't it. But, man, all signs are pointing to it. I hope not, but I think it is.
All right.
I definitely like your idea better, though. It's a as far as the ways out I've seen, that's one of the better ones.
I just that's how I feel. I feel like this is a way to monkey see, monkey do type of situation. Like Styles saw what
Almost like
exactly
they're trying
happened.
to convince us that he is ready to go. Is honestly like the way they've pushed it. It feels more like company propaganda. It does. It really does. It's hard to argue with it, but that's definitely been the presentation. They're talking about it more than really anybody else is. So I don't know if the fans entirely believe he's done. You know, I'm not convinced. You're not convinced. Nobody's really convinced. But they talk about it as if it's a foregone conclusion. You know, even
Yeah,
though within the storyline, it's supposed to be a maybe. But there's been enough personalities talk about it as if it's almost a certainty that makes you wonder, which means they're doing their job to an extent. So you're supposed to wonder how it's going to end, but it's a weird sensation that you're having to question it for both in character and out of character reasons
yeah.
when it should just be all about the story. So
It should definitely be about the story, and it continues
it's
the story, and
yeah.
they both get a win on each other, and that could lead down to Gunther beating him later down the road or something. But
Mm-hmm.
I think I know everybody wants to see a year long thing, and Styles also hinted at that, so it's a good possibility. But
Yeah, I mean they could turn it into a best of three, a best of three series. Then I'd book it into a 3 out of 5 falls match, and I'd do all kinds of stuff out of it. That they got a lot they could use out of it, but will they? Won't they? It remains to be seen. It's a lot up in the air. I
there's a
don't think
lot.
it's as. The more we talk about it, I feel like it's a lot less solid than has been presented to be. So you made a good case.
Up next is undisputed WWE champion Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn, and this one is going to be, yeah. I'm not sold on Sami Zayn winning. Not.
It's a cluck, man.
And the reason why I
uh,
don't think Sami Zayn will win is here's the stat, and this is the reason I believe this stat is going to continue. Sami Zayn has never defeated Drew McIntyre one on one with a record standing 0-12 against McIntyre. It goes to 0-13.
and that's a very valid point. And from a business perspective, if I'm looking at Sami Zayn, 90% of the time, he's not a guy I'd want representing my company as a champion. He doesn't look the part. By all reports, he doesn't have the work ethic for the part. Um, not that I'm not going to sit on here and trash the guy because I don't know, but there's a lot of stories about the guy hard to get up in the morning, doesn't want to go to the gym. That's not a guy that, whether a rumor is true or not, it appears to be true to some extent because he arguably has as much time in the day as everybody else he works with, but he's never really shown any work on his physique. He doesn't seem to care about his appearance or presence. He hasn't innovated in any way, shape, or form since he's been there. It's been very much, here I am, I'm Sami Zayn. I'm here for comedic relief more than anything, and I can put on a good match. He hasn't presented himself as championship material. People want to, can argue against that if they want to, but just from a purely business perspective, I don't see the upside there most of the time. And there's the issue of Drew just got the title. Do you want him to lose it so quickly? especially as long as it took to get him there and to get the deserved, title win that he needed. But that said, there's a certain element of the fan base that believes the same thing about Sami Zayn. Most of them are under 12, but they exist, right? And then there's the marketing issue, where they're at. Royal Rumble this year, Saudi Arabia. Everybody knows Sami Zayn is a professed practicing Muslim. They've already had the opportunity once before with Mustafa Ali against Roman to create the first ever openly, at least, Muslim champion. And you're talking about a demographic that represents, I forget what the stats are, but I'd say it's the world's third largest religion, right? Without getting into
I
super
want to say
specifics. That's a lot of reach, right? Especially in this day and age. There's a lot of different reasons why you'd want to make it happen from a business perspective. This would be their second really strong opportunity to make that happen. Different guy, obviously, but how many chances are they really going to get to do that? How many chances are they going to have, to put that feather in their cap? It's limited. How many perfect opportunities are they going to have if they're ever going to make Sami a champion? Where else are you going to do it than Saudi? If not now, then when? So, do I think he deserves it? Not really, no. But I think he goes over on Drew at Royal Rumble. I don't think he keeps it long, but I think he goes over.
and again we're predicting different predictions here, and that's a good thing. I just feel like storyline wise, we would have had a different conversation if it was Orton and McIntyre. I think we would have had a different conversation if it was Priest versus McIntyre. I even would say that we probably would have a different conversation if it was Trick Williams versus McIntyre. I just don't think it's believable that going 0-12 against Drew McIntyre, first title defense.
And from a believability aspect, I completely agree. I'm not saying it makes sense storyline wise whatsoever. It doesn't make to me. I never would have had him in the Fatal 4-Way in number one contendership to begin with. His win-loss record doesn't back it up anyway. For anybody paying attention, so I don't feel like it should be happening from a work ethic standpoint, or from from an in-character perspective. It doesn't really make sense. I think they're just going to purely do it off of a business decision. I think, and that's ultimately what drives them, is dollars and cents. Sami sells merch. Sami appeals to a large demographic. There will be no other perfect scenario, more perfect spot for him to win than at the Royal Rumble, to break that streak of that terrible loss record against Drew McIntyre, to finally win a championship, and to finally do it in a place where he's never going to be any more over than there. Like he goes to Toronto, he doesn't get cheered as much as he does in Riyadh. So, and I don't see, if he were going in there against Roman Reigns, he's not winning that. If he's going in there against CM Punk, I don't see him winning that, because those guys are a different caliber, typically in their presentation, than Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is really just now getting started with a decent, halfway decent title reign. So I don't want to see that end soon, and I think he would pick it up again very quickly. But if Sammy were to win at the Rumble, that's a bump in the road for McIntyre versus if they were to have anybody else lose to Sammy, it'd be more of a hit to their career. They'd have to come down a level to really make that case. So I think it's a less of a loss if he picks up a fluke win at the Royal Rumble. Maybe there's a distraction of some sort and it doesn't go over completely clean, but face clean, right? He doesn't do anything wrong, but somehow Drew still gets screwed and he's able to continue bitching about being screwed over. Everybody goes home happy. He gets the title back belt, the title belt back at the next pay-per-view, or hell, maybe back on Monday Night Raw. Who cares? But at just purely business, I think Sammy wins it.
Yeah,
Yours is a better call to make long-term, storyline-wise, and if they're wanting to build Drew McIntyre into a bigger star, I'd leave him unscathed. But
see, and that's the thing.
I don't see them really building him much past what he's already at. So
the thing that I look at, and there's a couple of things actually. One, it's his first title defense. Do you want his first title defense to be a loss again, kind of like what happened at Mania last year when Damian Priest cashed in? No, I think that would hurt McIntyre more than it would help. Do I believe McIntyre's a guy that would be okay with putting Sami Zayn over it? 100%. But at the same time, when you look at it, McIntyre earned and deserves an opportunity for a long reign with the championship that he basically carried during COVID when no fans were in attendance, technically. He didn't get that proper run. And this is his opportunity to have that proper run and be like, here's your flowers for what you did years ago. Here's your chance. I believe this is McIntyre's opportunity to walk into Mania and say, I'm the champion against whoever is his challenger. And I think the one person, I don't think it's going to be who wins the men's rumble. Honestly, I want to see it be the person that wins the men's rumble, but we'll get to that later. But
I'll put it like this: if they have Drew go over, they need to do so in a way that makes Drew a super heel. He should beat Zayn bloody in that match.
that's
He
what they
should
need.
ragdoll him. Be absolutely dominant in the match.
Yep.
To the point of being, he's just a ridiculous bully. He went way too far. He's excessive. It needs to come out on the other end. Sami Zayn feels like a victim. And give him something to come back from.
Yep. I mean,
and maybe they revisit it a year from now.
Exactly. And there's
Better
endless
long-term storytelling, but are they going to be able to resist pulling that, that quick, easy gratification of big-time sales in that market?
I don't think it helps.
I don't know.
I'm not too worried about the boos at Rumble if Sammy loses. I'm not really too worried about it. I'm more worried about the backlash of what's going to happen to McIntyre if McIntyre loses, because there's going to be as many people as going to be happy for Sammy, which there's going to be some. There's going to be a lot more that's angry that McIntyre loses. And it comes down to, you can't do this to this guy again. You just can't.
And I understand that argument. I do. I really do. But the flip side of that argument has to be made too of, like, he's another underdog persona, much like Mustafa Ali. He feels like he's only picked to be in the spot just because of the market. How many times are you going to tease your, let's be honest, the guys that are paying you your salaries, you know, how far are you going to be willing to bait them before they're just like, well, fuck you too. We don't want you back in our market. I don't know. And maybe I'm wrong on that. You know, maybe the fan base over there doesn't really care about that nearly as much as they do just wanting to see wrestling in their market. Maybe they're more patient with long-term storytelling than that. But money talks, BS walks.
Honestly,
so it remains to be seen. I'll stick with my prediction, but I definitely understand where you're coming from, and it's not necessarily an easy call to make when you really look at it from all the different angles. Like, I'm sure they've got to have the data sheets out looking at it, and they're probably going to be having discussions up until the day of. Like, we got to feel out the crowd. We got to talk to the princes here and make sure we're going to make it out of town alive if we don't mishandle this thing. So, they're still in Saudi Arabia, so it's improved over the years, sure, but they're not exactly necessarily known to be kind to all media all the time if they don't get their way. So,
I think
and they're very particular about how things are presented. Like, I think it was Bert Kreischer said when he was invited to do the Riyadh circuit for comedy, right? And he turned it down because they told him he couldn't take his shirt off, right? So, I mean, it doesn't take a lot to necessarily offend the base there. So, I think it's a little more politically sensitive with how things play out than we might realize.
I think to
the point of they might be like paying for an outcome.
Mm-hmm. I think
I know it's far fetched. That's a rabbit hole, but I'm just saying it could happen.
I think the only word that I'm going to end on is, and I'm going to come back to this just a smidge later on in this, because you're going to understand a little bit more timing. And you'll understand when we come back to it for like a second.
I think we're hitting on that quite a bit tonight. Timing literally is everything in this business.
It literally is. But
the news cycle could dictate how that match comes out. Literally, just what current events in the world, whatever happens the day of, could change it. So
anything can change it, and here's the one that I'm a little. I honestly don't know, but I might have an opinion, and this might be the boldest prediction ever. But for the women's rumble, the question is, what surprises do you see happening, and who wins?
The question really comes down to who are really surprises for the women anymore. And that side of things, there's only so many names that have really gotten recognition enough with the larger fan base to really be surprising. On the legends side, the pool isn't as deep as it is for the men. Yeah. Victoria would be surprising because she hasn't.
That's the only name that came to mind. Literally, I tried to think.
The ultimate surprise would be Gail Kim.
That one too.
In my opinion, because she,
or an awesome call.
No love lost for the E. But I mean, as far as ones I think we will see, I think we'll see Michelle McCool. I think we'll probably see Trish, maybe Lita. None of them are really surprising at this point. We've even seen Molly Holly in years past. So the stuff that I think we could count more as surprises would be free agents or, big returns from, but has anybody really been on the shelf this year that's not, ready to go?
It's like,
I can think of one face, but I can't remember her name. That little buff chick that got hurt, blew her knee out this last year.
oh,
Can't remember, but I think last I saw, she was still rehabbing. I don't know that she's ready to come back yet.
Yeah, I can't
But
remember the name either for some reason.
But by and large, everybody's there that's been there. There's, I'd be shocked if ODB showed up, I guess. I'd be shocked if you saw, some of those, but like nobody's gonna be shocked at Mickey James.
Velvet Sky.
Nobody like Velvet Sky. That would be a good one. Angelina Love.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, bring in the whole freaking crew, all of the beautiful people that have ever been there. I don't care. But that would be a great nod back. I think Kelly was talking about wanting to come back and do Rumble. So, there's some good ones, but I just don't think anybody's gonna necessarily, knock your socks off. I think the coolest possibility there would probably be the beautiful people, just because they were so innovative to the knockouts division, and really helped change the game of, like, before you were one of two different types of women's wrestler. You were either the traditional Barbie doll, Lisa Frank diva, or you are, a hard hitter Jazz Victoria type, right? There was very little in between. The knockouts showed that, you could be both good looking and, ready to throw some bows. So I think it would be cool for them to get a nod. And for by all reports, they can still do their thing. So I don't see why not. And we're on the back end of the PG era. I think it'd be a good way to get away from that by having them show up,
especially ODB.
Full gimmick. So obviously ODB would be hilarious. I don't know that they would know what to do with ODB, but
I don't know either. Mickey James maybe is a possibility.
Yeah, there's always a chance with her. When your husband works as the SmackDown GM, it's not like she's a difficult person to track down. So, plus, she was doing the some of the coaching for that last season of the Tough Enough remake.
LFG.
Yes, that thing. Which I didn't watch a single episode of. Full disclosure. But,
I watched a couple. Michelle McCool was on it. I'm sorry, but
yeah, bless her heart. The girl could work, but she has the personality of a turnip. Sorry, McCool. You're not exciting. Sorry. It's not meant to be disrespectful, but
who do you see winning?
It's got to be somebody that it matters for, or that if it's just another Liv Morgan, if it's just another somebody that's already kind of been in the picture, it's wasted in my opinion. I think they should use it as an opportunity to create a new star, because they are in pretty strong need of it. It's hard to look at the field and really see somebody that I think is really ready for that, aside from Roxanne Perez. I think would be a good option if they wanted her and Liv to start feuding sooner rather than later, but I think it's a little too soon for that. What is the young lady's name with NXT? I am terrible with names, so I'm going to quickly remind myself. So I think I know what it is. Jada Parker.
Yeah.
That's who I could win Women's Royal Rumble.
Okay. Okay. That is totally, completely like blew
Probably
me
not what you
away.
thought I would say at all.
No, no, that actually threw me off. Because I was thinking and expecting like somebody that's already been declared that you were gonna say like Rhea Ripley, something like that. Like,
No, because they're already in stories. They're already
yeah,
established. They don't
um,
need the gimmick as an excuse to be in the picture. They don't need a Money in the Bank. They don't need a stipulation to get there. They could walk in
right.
any given night and have the match and be believable, for any given reason. There's already established history. Jada needs something to thrust her into the scene. She's by ring work, I don't see any issues. I haven't watched a ton of her stuff, but I haven't seen any glaring problems that would keep her from being in that picture. But there's nothing without some sort of catalyst. There's nothing for her to just latch onto coming in the door nearly as easily as here. I'm kicking the door. I'm winning this thing. You're gonna have to deal with me. Period. Not climb a ladder. Like I'm here in your face. I'm making this win worth something. Like make the story of the Rumble her story and why she earned it. That's what the Rumble's for. It's to make the next Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold was Stone Cold beforehand, but the Rumble made Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, it
How often has the Rumble been utilized correctly in that manner? Not very. They have an opportunity to do that with her. She has a very abrupt persona that she carries with her that would translate well to, I won this thing, deal with me. You can't, I am undeniable now.
well,
It's almost like a female Trick Williams thing that she has there
that's
that
just a
she
good
could work with.
point. That is a very good point. Me thinking about it, I was like, Rhea story, Io story, Bailey, Liv, no. Jordan Grace has been kind of hinted at. Charlotte's been there, done that.
Jordan again doesn't need to win. She's already there with Jade Cargill. So, Tiffany doesn't need it. She's already, in the picture.
Tiffany Stratton is my pick to return from injury and come in and win the Rumble.
And that's a completely viable possibility. Definitely could happen.
I mean, that's the only name.
It's a safe decision for them to go with. I think yours is probably the better, more likely prediction. But I'm a swing for the fences type of guy. I like to advocate for who I see put in work.
I'll be safe on it. I'll be safe on this one. I will. I'll be very safe on it.
And it's a good bet. It is. And she's, again, I'm not saying the girl don't put in work. She has. So, more power to her. I'm just of the opinion that it should be a star-making match. She's already a star. Jada Parker is about to be. And this could be a platform to launch her to the moon.
It definitely could be. And
I don't think anybody out there is calling Jada Parker. So if Jada Parker wins, y'all better give me credit. Because I ain't seen nobody say Jada Parker wins.
I'll give you the credit. I will give you the credit. It will be well deserved if you were 100% right.
If she wins it, I'll be wondering who the hell passed our podcast to the brass, because that would be shocking. But
on to the men's, and it's the same question. Surprises. Who do you think, and who wins?
On the surprises side, I'm a lot more excited because there's a lot more potential. You've already got the rumored and highly speculated return of the Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla, Y2J, the Learning Tree, Judas, the Lionheart, Chris Jericho. I'm excited to see the guy come home. I'll pop when I see him. Will I be surprised? No, but it would be a welcome return. I hope it happens. On the surprises, the free agents, you got a nice pool this year for once. Some of it's self-created. Karrion Kross is a very viable possibility.
Yep, that was a name that I was thinking.
And the fact that the dude hasn't already been world heavyweight champion, it's a travesty. There's a travesty they never came to a contract agreement. But without getting too off in the weeds on that, I hope him and his wife get exactly what they negotiate for. I hope he comes back at the Rumble, and I hope he goes on to main event WrestleMania. I would love to see it. Zilla Fatu, I think, is probably going to make it happen this year.
And
last year would have been too much with some of the other family members that had come up. But Zilla is very viable. He has been,
and that's not a name nobody's talking about
as of late.
Nobody's talking about him.
His nose has been sniffing around. He's been a lot closer to the circle lately than in the past. So, Zilla could definitely happen. Although I think he would probably come in and then immediately go to NXT for a little bit of finishing work, which is not a bad thing. But I mean, he's essentially a protege of Booker T at this point. He's part of the Bloodline family. The dude has been working. Give him a contract, bring him at the Rumble. People will pop. It'll be great. Real one, Enzo Amore. That's one I don't think people are talking a whole lot about. I've seen some talk about it, but it's also convenient timing that he also just dropped a little micro documentary deal. So, I think it's definitely a possibility. I think they should bring him back because he was unjustly fired in the first place. Dude never even had not to get off into what happened there too much, but he had lost his job because some accusations were made against him that were essentially found to be completely baseless, and no charges were ever brought against him in the first place. So he lost his job as if he was guilty before anybody ever actually even said he did anything officially. So it was just more of like an online accusation, and next thing you know, dude lost his job. So it has been kind of paying for it ever since. But yet he's put in the work. He's still in great shape. The gimmick is still hot everywhere he goes. He shows up at the Royal Rumble, and I would even mix up how he does the music. I would say they don't even need to necessarily hit the song first. Let him hear his voice first. My name is Enzo Amore. Let him do the speech part of it. Its first half, walk down the ramp, and then once he hits "How you doing?" then hit the music, and he runs the rest of the way down to the ring and for a hot slide, gets his stuff in. Continue, right? I'd love to see it. I think he's a little less likely, because company doesn't like necessarily take risks, but I think he's a safe risk. Another big one. What's a name circling in wrestling this year that hasn't been talked about in years past, that suddenly popped back up on the scene this last year?
There's a couple.
Grab your mic and bring it real close, sir.
Yep.
Because it's Mr. I'm not gonna blow your ears out by doing a gimmick.
Yep. That's another name.
Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Anderson is very much a possibility there. And, they've got access to both versions of his music because of their association with TNA. So, Still in great shape. Saw him doing some work a while back. He's still doing great. He's currently actively wrestling with JCW, working with Vince Russo up there. So I definitely a possibility. There's some TNA guys that we could see crossover. I mean, traditionally, the last couple of years, we've seen TNA champions in both the women's and men's Rumble appear, right?
Yes, we have.
We could very easily see Mike Santana in the men's Royal Rumble.
We could.
Which I think would be freaking awesome.
Or a Moose.
If he starts coming in there and clearing house with, by rolling the block, spinning the block, I think that'd be really cool. Get Moose in there doing some stuff. He's a big, solid worker, so he doesn't necessarily have to come in doing some flippy spots like a lot of the X Division guys would do. But hell, you got I'm terrible with names, especially with some of these younger guys. He's currently X Division champion. Remind me his name. Slater.
Yeah, Slater.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean he's one you could see. You could definitely see appear. He's been on NXT a lot lately, so and I think WWE definitely has their eyes on bringing him aboard. In the future, so could definitely see some stuff there. I mean, you've got guys like Eric Young who've been on both sides of the fence before. I mean, he could very easily show up. Fans would pop for him. So, I mean, I think it'll be a lot more interesting this year than people are thinking. It's just been bad advertisement. They haven't done enough to promote the Rumble, even though the possibilities for this Rumble are better than they've been in some of the years past.
Yeah. Yep. And who do you think is going to win?
Man. I might have to call a two spot on this one.
Okay. And that's fine. But before you...
There's... Go ahead.
Before you answer that, I do want to name a couple people that could return.
Go for it.
I kind of went too quickly on this one. Because I got a little excited, but Booker T is a name that very much so.
Dude's still in great shape. I'd pop for it. Bring it.
There's a possibility of Corey Graves. That's another one.
I would absolutely love to see it. He deserves to have that moment. I completely agree. It should happen.
We have Powerhouse Hobbs, who is a free agent, signed with WWE now.
This is true.
So he could very
or should we call him Royce?
Royce Keys.
What was the name? Royce Keys.
Yep.
I've heard worse. I'll.
I'm not even. I mean, it's his son's name, is what I read. So I'm not even.
Maybe so.
That's what I read. So I think that. And Wade Barrett. Nobody's talking about Wade Barrett coming in. And the only reason I mentioned Corey Graves is
Wade's been training again. If rumors serves
JBL.
Correctly.
Speaking of training, JBL.
I've heard rumor that he is trying to make a full-time in-ring return.
What
that might be hyperbole.
Rumble?
That might be mistaken because somebody might be jumping to that conclusion because he's been training, but I have seen footage of him training.
Yep. I have as well. And let's be real.
And he's been building to it over the course of the last year, doing run-ins on all the indies, run-ins on TNA. So I think he's got one more in him.
Nobody's
I think he
really
still show this generation what's up.
That's the crazy part.
I could absolutely see him coming back and just being that entitled asshole of, I'm going to come in and show you kids how it's done.
Exactly.
And then right off into the sunset when it's done. Get the send off I really feel like he should have gotten. But
And it's crazy that to me that there's three of the biggest names that nobody's talking about: Wade Barrett, JBL, and Corey Graves. Nobody's talking about them. I think Booker T has been mentioned once or twice, but nobody's talking about them. Nobody.
and I think that's just because Wade Barrett and Corey Graves have been there. They've been ready to go. Really, I mean, they may not have been as sharp as always, but they've both been in shape and both been cleared for the last several years. So, at least as I've heard it. So, maybe just the fans are just kind of giving up on it happening, but I'd love to see it.
I would love to see it too.
So,
And to go back on your comment, Leon Slater, he has technically same contract as what Joe Hendry has. He is technically signed to TNA and NXT.
right.
So, bam. There's big possibilities there. I would pop for it. I'm not even against it. There's some really good names out there that you could be like, holy crap, Rusev could return. There's some many names that you're like, this isn't really a big possibility, but it's a possibility. We know Sheamus is out, so that's not a possibility. He just had shoulder surgery, so that's off the table. Ray just got injured, so you have an opening there. So be prepared.
Yeah, and I wonder if anybody's updated on Finley's kid.
David Finlay, yep. And then for some reason,
Because
this rumor
he was in, last I heard, contract negotiations. I don't know if he re-upped with them or not, or if his stuff's still run out yet or not. But if rumor serves, his contract is supposed to be coming up really soon, and if the timing lines up, it's possible. So I know they have interest in having him. So, which I think that'll be the next step, no matter what. When his New Japan contract runs up, I think he will end up in WWE. But even so, timing works out. It'd be great to see it. So,
Alberto Del Rio. It's another name nobody's mentioned.
I love how you just said that. Your delivery was perfect. Alberto Del Rio.
Yep, I'm never gonna get it like that.
You didn't quite roll the R's, but otherwise you were pretty damn good. That's one that would be perfect, and AAA wants him back. So, I mean, what better time than the Rumble? And I mean, and you talk about a guy that'd be great to feud with JBL if JBL comes back. So, I think that would be a great one. And I honestly don't understand why WWE was so afraid to have him in the first place.
Yeah, I agree on that.
And that's one thing, like, they need to understand, like, as we're getting away from kind of the aftermath of a lot of the Me Too movement, and again, not to get political here, but I think the audience understands there's a huge difference in this day and age between an accusation and evidence, or between an accusation and any kind of conviction. Anybody can get online and say some bullshit at any given time. It doesn't make it true. So, I mean, all things considered, the way that whole thing worked out, I think it was bullshit they ever pulled the plug on him with AAA in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see your point on that. But to end the podcast, who do you have winning?
I think I'm going to have to look at this in two ways. There's who I want to win, and then there's who I think will win. As far as who I think will win, I think our winner is going to be Braun Breaker.
Okay.
Now, who I want to win, God damn it, I still believe in Joe Hendry, damn it. I'm just going
Oh,
to leave it right there.
okay. Okay. See, and I was not expecting you to say that.
I know you weren't.
Um, I guess
But, I mean,
I'll do the same
tell me
answer.
somebody who's worked harder for it. Show me one.
He's done everything. He's
The dude deserves to be a star.
he
And
does.
what better way to carry forward that I believe in Joe Hendry gimmick? Can you imagine like you get him in early, you stretch it out, right? You carry him through the whole match. And they should do this with him anyway, even if he doesn't win. But throughout the whole match, he gets those moments. He's hyping to the crowd. You get the crowd chanting, "We believe, we believe." You want them to be so invested at the end, whether they win or lose, that they're still happy with their boy got the showcase. Um, absolutely, like they could turn it into something huge for him. Will they? Probably not. But damn it, Joe Hendry's earned it.
Okay. And I'm gonna give you the same thing. Like I'm gonna give you who I think and who I want. Who I think is gonna win is Roman Reigns. And this is where the timing comes in. This is the part where I'm going back a little bit and saying this is why I said timing. Drew is gonna win and retain. They're not gonna be happy, but they will be happy if Roman Reigns wins the Rumble in the main event. That's how they escape that stuff. The timing of it. That's what I
Yeah,
think.
and Roman is very over in Saudi, so that's
Yep.
very much a strong possibility. Um, Either way, I think they're going to want to capitalize on more of more of Cody and Roman going into like Street Fighter coming out. They're both in it. They want to promote it. They'll probably take the easy route on that. Maybe I don't know if
Possibly.
it's probable, but I think they'll use it to some degree. I think it very well could translate into both of them being back in the world title picture very quickly because of that. Um, it gets into how much do you want to depreciate Drew if he is gonna keep carrying the title forward. Um, you end up really having to have all three of them back in the picture pretty quickly. So I don't know. It depends on how those storylines play out, man. And gosh, there's so many good different possibilities of guys that are really deserving.
Yep.
That would be amazing. That could really benefit from it. I mean, guys like freaking Aleister Black. You know, you want to see him in the world title picture. You could still capitalize on a Damian Priest. You could still capitalize on so many different guys. Karrion Kross would be an amazing winner. I would genuinely love to see it for him. Not just for the gimmick of Joe Hendry, but like
Yep.
there's so many different good guys, good possibilities. I mean, hell, freaking, I wouldn't be mad if Nick Nemeth came back and won the damn thing. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably no. They're not going to swerve us that hard. But damn it, it'd be cool if every now and then a TNA guy actually won the thing. Maybe make it a little bit more believable. Make it a little bit more believable that it's possible. But you know, if they're just going to be there and be filler, I'm okay with that too. But
I want to answer your question. Who do you think I want to win?
Who you want to win?
Yeah. Who do you think?
Karrion Kross.
I would have, like in my mind, I was thinking,
or maybe you might swerve me pretty hard here. You might be trying to dip your fingers into the New Day pie somewhere.
in the New Day? Nope. Karrion Kross was definitely on my mind.
No Austin Creed on your mind?
No Austin Creed.
Damn. That's another one that, again, like the 1/3 of the original New Day that hasn't been world champion, clearly has put in the work and deserves it, would be a believable guy. But
Y2J.
so who you got?
Y2J.
You think Y2J takes it home?
Yep.
Very well could be. I would not be mad if
Punk and Y2J at Mania.
I wouldn't be mad if, the Judas music hits and he's entrant number 30. Maybe that's the whole story with Pierce. Maybe he brings in Jericho to spoil the vision. Who knows?
It's a big possibility. Like as much
He could come in. Absolutely.
Like if there
You
was
got
a
to fit him
runner-up,
somewhere, and he's gonna be a main event guy.
yeah.
So if you want to put him back in the picture real quick, that's a good way to do it.
Like if you had to pick a runner-up on who you think, it's Roman and Braun Breaker. 1,000,000%. Those two. And if you want to win, it's like Joe Hendry is a good name. I don't think they would pull that trigger as much as I would want it.
No, I don't think they will either.
But Jericho.
Hell, I wouldn't. R-Truth. Give R-Truth the belt. God damn it. Like,
even if it's for a night and then he gets confused.
There's so many guys I would love to see really get their flowers. They probably never will, but
100% pop and laugh my ass off if R-Truth won a world title, somehow lost it, not lost it to somebody, but lost it, like he was trying to travel somewhere and lost the title, and so he stole a women's champion and said he was the champion. That would be the
I mean, so the version I personally just sell, if I would do, but selfishly the version I'd want to see is I want to see Braun the Truth Killings. I want to see him at his best.
Yep.
No, some people might argue that that's not his best. His best is fun R-Truth, and I can see that. But as a fan, just of his work, I personally feel like that's his best stuff. But yeah, I'd love to see him go over. Jericho's one I'll never be mad at, because as long as he keeps reinventing himself and staying in shape, some people can make claims if they want to that he was phoning it in AEW towards the end. I don't really feel that's the case. I think it had more to do with the talent he was working with. So yeah, I think if he's going to get his ride off into the sunset, this is a good way to do it. I'm probably the biggest Chris Jericho fan on the face of the planet, so
that's why I swerved you. That's how I swerved you. That with
a grain of salt, but
that's the thing for me though, is if you look at Roman Reigns, that's the safest pick. If you look at a Braun Breaker, it's the safest pick. But if you look at it, Jericho could be another one that would timing of the whole thing.
Well, and you also look at his career too, and it makes sense from a certain point of view too, because when he came from WCW to Monday Night Raw, it was a disruption, right? When he left and came back, reinvented himself, it was a disruption, right? Every time it's either it's the countdown, it's the Y2, the Y2J code, it's the all of those different things. Or even when he went to AEW, it was, surprise, I'm at a press conference for this company and I'm doing big shit. He doesn't do anything small, never has. So if he's going to come back, it's going to be probably pretty abrupt, at least to somebody's storyline. And if you want to put him in the world title picture,
that's the way to do it.
It definitely wouldn't be a bad way.
No. And if there was I think we both agree on one thing. If there's somebody that we want to return and not think, it's Cross. It's Cross.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other. I don't think there's any other name on that list of free agents or anything like that in NXT that you go, man, I want him to return. I mean, I'm not saying that like I wouldn't want to see a Wade Barrett join the Rumble or Corey Graves or any of them, but when you look across, it's like, man, that dude, if you just pushed him correctly,
Mm-hmm.
look what he could have done.
Got all the tools. And here's the thing: if you're looking at guys, and we touched on this earlier, that are going to be the face of the company, it's guys that have versatility, can do other stuff, right? Cross didn't wait for permission. He went ahead and wrote his book.
Nope.
He started making vignettes and documentaries and had his own music made. He's still doing, really high quality vignettes for MLW and everywhere he really goes to. He's doing acting and doing it really well. I'm not talking about he's in a pop culture movie with superheroes and Street Fighter, whatever. He's going to his stuff's being shown at Sundance. Like, they're winning awards and shit, right? He has every tool you could possibly want. He's showcasing it to you that he has it before you're even asking it of him. He's a guy that can carry your company easily.
He's got all the tools. Everything. The gimmick, the wrestling.
We want Cross, damn it.
Even though people on social media really aggravates me as saying, "No, he doesn't want to take a bump." Stop it.
Cross?
Yeah, that was the thing. That was the thing.
Tell me you don't watch the product without telling me you don't watch the product.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Go look at any of his works. Go back and watch his freaking match with Matt Riddle.
Yeah.
Tell me he won't take a bump. Shut the hell up.
Like, he's got the gimmick. He can talk. He can do all of this. Just push him right.
And the thing is, it's not the style of wrestling he does is more grapple based. He's a grapple based brute. What you call that? Yes, he can do the hard hits. He can do the chops. He can do a lot of different things, but his style is more holds than anything. Traditional holds. He's an actual wrestler, not a spot jockey. Not him not taking bumps. That's him telling a fucking story, you fucking marks. Anyway.
I agree. But I think
I'm not supposed to call the fan base fucking marks on night one, but
yeah, well, sometimes
the people that say that kind of stuff about Cross, that's who I'm talking to. You can say a lot of different things about his work. That's not one of them you can say legitimately.
No, it's definitely not. But I think Rumble is shaping up to being a really good pay-per-view. Unpredictability. I don't think it's predictable this year.
I think it's going to be a lot better than people are thinking it's going to be. Again, WWE has not done a good job of pushing this show at all. But it has a lot more potential than I think a lot of people realize. As we've talked about tonight, there's a lot of different ways things could go. And it is really not. There's some things we think will probably happen based on probability where storylines have been going. But if you're ever going to surprise people, the Royal Rumble is the time to do it. This is the most exciting time of year to be a wrestling fan. Is this kickoff on the road to WrestleMania? So I'm excited for it. I know you're excited for it.
I am.
Can't wait to be sitting here after the Royal Rumble and seeing where things fell, who showed up that we didn't think about, who let us down. I'm looking to see. I'm hoping Miles Bourne's going to be in the Rumble because I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do on a bigger stage.
Me too. That would be another
one.
one.
He's one for a sink or swim down the road, I think. But God, man, the sky's the limit coming out of this match, coming out of this PLE. So I'm just hoping the WWE capitalizes on it, and gives us a good show.
Well, either way, it's about to go
It'll be a fun
down.
time of year. It is. So for sure, definitely everybody that checks us out, much appreciated. Share it with your friends. Pass this around. We're going to be trying to do this on a very regular basis, covering different PLEs, pay-per-views, indies, recapping classic matches, running into a variety of different topics. If we can get guests on, we'll get them on. I still happen to know a couple people here and there, so hopefully I can make some stuff happen. Maybe even a little extra coverage of the indies, I think would be nice for us to do. Maybe a what happened this week on the indies segment. I think that would be good. Give a little indie exposure.
Yep.
Not just always talk about the big guys. I think it would be good. Tell us what you want us to talk about. If you have questions, ask them. We'll answer them. And that's I think that's going to be a wrap for us tonight.
Yes, it is.
Be back here with us after the Royal Rumble. We'll probably be a little bit after the post show. Once they get their recap done, we'll go live, discuss all the different stuff that happened coming out of the Rumble with our Royal Rumble recap show.
Yes, but this has been the Hot Tag Podcast.
Tagging out.
Definitely tagging out.
Yeah. From bell to bell. When the hand slaps the rope, everything changes. Yeah, my spotlight's up. Yeah. Hear the crowd breathe. History in the ring every time we speak. From the back room rumors to the main event talk. Every road to the top starts with one hot tag. Heartbeat bass with the mic in hand. Breaking down the game like a fight night stand. No scripts, no buys, just facts and fire. If the rope starts shaking, you know we wired. When the pace gets slow, when the match feels stuck, that's when the whole damn building waits on us. You mean we're hot tag. Feel the energy snap from the corner to the center when the whole world reacts. This is ring talk, real talk. Every champ, every scar. When the hand hits the rope, yeah, we like the dog. Hot tag. Let the truth break loose. Every hit, every miss, every win, every bruise. From the past to the future, from the grind to the goal. This is the Hot Tag Podcast. Welcome to the show. Headlines, hot takes, moments they can't fake. Dynasties fall, new legends get made. From the indies to the lights where the cameras live. If it matters in the ring, then it matters in this. Numbers on the board, but the story comes first. Every rise got pain, every crown got dirt. We don't chase noise, we chase that spark. That one loud second when the match flips hard. Yeah. Woo. When the hand has the rope, yeah, we like the hot tag. Feel the energy snap from the corner to the center when the whole really relax. This is ring talk, real talk. Every champ, every scar. When the hand hits the rope, yeah, we like the hot tag. Let the truth break loose. Every hit, every miss, every win, every bruise. From the past to the future, from the grind to the goal. This is the Hot Tag Podcast. Welcome to the show. Even my hot tag.